Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and we are coming to you, no, not from our usual spot inside Renaissance Bank in Alpharetta, but our virtual studio, awaiting the moment until we can get back into the bank there on Windward Parkway, the bank branch there on Windward Parkway. That's where we normally hang out. And just a shout out to the folks at Renaissance. They've been awesome with small businesses here lately, folks. And I know that firsthand with some of the clients that I work with. So if you're in need of a friendly small business banker, Renaissance has a whole bunch of them, and they're terrific to work with. If you need some recommendations, you can email me if you like. You can also go to renaissancebank.com and find your nearest location. They've got 190 offices across the South, and they've got folks ready to serve you who answer their own phone. So check them out, renaissancebank.com. They are open in the branches by appointment if you're wanting to do banking business in the branches, just not for non-bank customers. So check them out, Renaissance Bank, Understanding You, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Trip Jobe, and Trip is the CEO of Rand Inc. Trip, welcome.
Thanks, John. Appreciate you having me today.
It's great to have you on. So talk a little bit about you and Rand Inc. and how you're serving folks out there.
Sure, John. You know, at Rand Inc., my business partner and I are really about being a marketing strategy agency that's focused on the business of marketing. And by that, I mean, we try to help our clients grow their business. It's not about winning marketing awards. It's not about creativity. It's about driving their business forward. We often say that we're the fiduciaries of marketing. So when you think of going to a wealth advisor, they want to understand your needs. They want to see what your goals are and plan out an outcome for your financial health. They could put you in any number of type of tactics and programs. Well, we do the same with marketing. So we work with digital marketing companies, we work with video, we work with media, but we don't try to say this is what we focus on. We understand your business, we understand how we're going to get growth better for you, and then we take all the different avenues, all the different tactics and programs of marketing and help you put the best mix forward to grow your business. And every client's going to be different.
That makes perfect sense. And you know, you hit on a hot point there. I mean, right out of the bat here, Trip. So thank you for that, which is, you know, a lot of times we see, and this is true for all companies. This is not just marketing agencies, so I'm not picking on them. But a lot of times we see companies that talk about their awards and talk about their achievements as if that was what really translated into success for the client. And you're pushing back against that.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about our clients. So, you know, if you go to our website, randinc.cc, you'll see some testimonials, but it's about our clients and their growth. That's what it is. I mean, we can come up with the most clever tagline or logo or whatever, but it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't translate into customer growth. It has to be about the client and helping them succeed in their goals. And that's what we're about. I spent 25 years in corporate America. My business partner, Darren Rand, this is the third marketing agency he's had. He built and sold the other two. So we're business people. All right. We understand that that's what makes America tick. It's great to have creativity and win awards, but it doesn't mean anything to our customers. And that's what we're about.
So let's talk about customers. Let's talk about what business people are thinking about. And one of those things is it's a new normal or forward normal. I've heard so many different terms for it. I'm tired of that. And I know you are too. What in this environment we're in, whatever we call it, you know, what's the one place that I need to spend money on in terms of marketing? What's most important?
Well, I would say the first thing is understand your strategy, the fact that you should be spending something. All right. And every client's going to be different. If you're a B2C, maybe a home service company, we're going to have some areas we would say you should focus on much more so than if you're a B2B company selling to architects. All right. But the key is, even in this environment, you want to stay consistent. All right. You want to do something to create outreach. I know a good friend of mine who was on your show, Scott Siegel, probably about a month ago, talked about selling in this environment. And it's about consistency. You always want people to think about you. And it's the same with marketing right now. So I would say we would talk to clients and understand what's key to their needs, but to continue to do some type of marketing in this case. I think the other thing that we see at times is someone says, well, I'm only going to devote 5% right now to marketing. So I'm going to pick one tactic, and that's all I'm going to do. Maybe it's Facebook, or maybe it's email. And, if you've had tremendous success with that tactic in the past, I would say that's great. But if you haven't and you're starting new, I would say it's akin to going out to the golf course with one golf club. I can get around the course with a 7-iron, but I'm not going to be anywhere near as good as if I had my full bag of 14 clubs.
Yeah, and you hit on a word there that I think is important, and that's consistency, right? I mean, I think the default that some business owners have is, in an environment like this, that marketing is where I cut maybe, or where I can economize. And sure, I mean, maybe there's some changes that need to be made in any part of the business up and down, but consistency and foregoing that consistency in marketing can be really damaging over the long haul. No?
Absolutely. And you're dead on. I mean, in today's environment, there's a lot of reasons you have to cut certain areas. That's where we try to get in and analyze where are you spending. And in most cases, you may have a business that they're devoting a certain amount of their total revenue to marketing. Let's say it's 10%. All 10% of that marketing working, or maybe only 5% of it's working? And how do they know? Are they measuring their results? And so when it does come time to cut, if there are things that weren't working, that's where you should cut. But let's go back to the environment we're in. Like I said, I don't like to give one single answer.
Sure.
But the one answer I would give, if you have a current client base, hopefully you have email. And I would say in this environment, if nothing else, you want to surround your current customers. So email is probably the number one area if you've got a current customer base, to keep that relationship going, keep the consistency you brought up, and at least do that, right? But then you want to look at maybe some other areas as well. And still, you can have a reduced marketing budget right now, but based on your strategy, maybe it is a little bit of outreach. Maybe it is through a Facebook or a LinkedIn if you're more on a B2B side. But to have a couple of things going, have that consistency and not stop, because clients will start to wonder, are they still in business? Or what's the implication if I stop marketing altogether for 3 months or 4 months? How sustainable could that business be going forward?
Folks, we're chatting here with Trip Jobe, and Trip is the CEO of Rand Inc. Trip, there's a word that you said there that pops out for me, and that's surround the customer. What do you mean by that? Unpack that a little bit more for us.
Well, marketing is about understanding your customers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's ultimately what it is. There's been a lot of good dialogue recently, and Peter Drucker was famous to saying that, marketing is understanding the customer so well to meet their needs that you don't even need to sell.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So surrounding the customer is about, understanding who your core clients are today, who's your target clients, and giving them the information and the means that they're most likely to address it. And that's a key. I mean, we've had clients in the past that were trying to market out to everybody, And, 2/3 of the area they were hitting might have been really addressable. And there's a whole third of the market they were trying to hit that will never buy their products. So that's wasted dollars there. Take those dollars and turn it into other ways to surround or engage with those key customers.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess that's where you didn't use the term audit, but I took it that way, that marketing audit comes in to measure effectiveness. So speaking of audits and speaking of, looking at effectiveness of marketing spend, what's the most important marketing metric that you can identify for a company?
Sure. Well, number one is revenue. So any marketer should really be able to understand where the revenues come in with the company, how much of that you're driving. But then, the next level depends on the type of business. If you are, again, maybe a B2C or a B2B2C type company, you need that awareness. You need, leads coming in. So what type of engagement and leads are you creating, right? If you are a B2B company, I work for a company, we spend a lot of time focusing on architects to specify building products, right? That's really where we wanted ongoing engagement. We did a lot of white paper work, a lot of CEUs and lunch and learn type products. Well, we wanted to have deep followers for that educational content because it's much longer type sale. It didn't matter to us, to go out and try to create Facebook users. It really was own the customers that we had. So again, understanding your business position. And then there are a couple key areas to figure out if you're attracting new clients or you're deepening your base of your existing clients. But it all comes back to revenue. That's number one. That's
music to most business owners' ears. So I understand why you have been so successful with what with your enterprise there. So that's awesome. Now, one term I have heard, personal point of privilege, if I can, omni-channel marketing. Tell me what that is. What are those marketing buzzwords that John Ray needs help with? Tell me.
Yeah, in essence, omni-channel marketing is a complete, holistic, maybe 360 view of marketing for various different channels. Going back to my golf analogy, if all you did was use Google AdWords, that's just having the 7 iron. If I have Google AdWords for my website, if I have an email campaign, if I'm out on social media, maybe I'm on LinkedIn, maybe I'm on Instagram. If I use direct mail occasionally, maybe I use broadcast media, radio. I use content, podcast, video. All of those together, when you look at trade shows, in-person events, that's a 360 omni-channel marketing plan. So that's the full set of 14 golf clubs. Now, as you said, it's one of those buzzwords, and right now I think there's the latest number I saw was there's 5,500 companies that have MarTech stack platforms. So all these different avenues and ways to engage and measure marketing. There's so many different areas. That's why it gets confusing. But in general, it's a full 360 view of a marketing campaign.
Isn't there a danger in spreading yourself too thin with something like that? I mean, just because you can market yourself on TikTok, I'm getting after TikTok. Sorry, folks, that may be effective for you, but not just an example. Don't get upset. But no, seriously, if you just because you can do it doesn't mean that's what you want to do. And you can go down these bunny trails on different ways to market that may not make any sense whatsoever. And that's what gets back to the marketing and the revenue and ROI, right?
Absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned TikTok. It's one that I will bring up. Now, if you're a fashion brand or maybe an energy drink brand right now, I would say TikTok is something you absolutely want to be involved in. That's perfect for those brands. I mean, that's the audience they're getting. But a lot of our our clients, it's not going to help them. So, yeah, you don't want to spread yourself too thin. While we say we want an omni-channel, we want to tie it to your business. But if you go back to that 10% of marketing and say, all right, I'm going to do 10 things at 1% each, it's the old, you're peanut buttering your budget. And you're probably going to be effective in 4 or 5 of them, but not 8 to 10. And so that's what we try to look at. We look at the measurements. And this is the challenge that's out there. I mentioned there's 5,500, MarTech stacks that measure and look at different parts of marketing. So many of these areas, you get individual measurements. You can go get your LinkedIn analytics, you go get your Google analytics, you go get information from your direct mail company or your email provider, but no one brings those together. And that's one of the things that we do at Rand Inc. In addition to our strategy and development, we have a platform that we will take all your different measurements from your marketing programs and bring them into a single dashboard. So Back to your original question of, boy, if I split myself 10 ways, we're going to be able to show you how you're effective, one compared to the other 9. And then start talking about your strategy again and say, look, in some cases right now, we might say, let's take your 10% down to 8% by eliminating 4 areas and then taking 2, and we're going to double down on those 2. So all of a sudden you have 6 tactics, but a couple of them you're going to spend more in, and you're actually using less money right now, but we think you'll be much more successful.
You mentioned AdWords, Trip. That's kind of a big thing, and I'm sure probably in this environment people are thinking more about that because of the digital delivery of your marketing message there with AdWords. I mean, what are your thoughts on web AdWords? What should I spend?
It's a great question. AdWords are the one that a lot of people come in, and there's a lot of experts out there. But you really need to understand where you're going with it and who you're competing with. And in some cases, you compete with yourself and you drive your own costs up. We have a client, Goss RV, that was very much doing that. They had owned kind of the RV market, and then all of a sudden they got competitors that came in and were spending a lot in the AdWords space. It was causing them to have to raise the rates they were paying for certain AdWords. And what we found out is that they were going across the entire RV customer channel. And they're very much a high-end premium type RV experience. So they were paying for AdWords for clients that they were never going to get. And what the measurements told us is they had the leads, but a large percentage of the leads dropped off immediately when we started at the quote part of the funnel. And so, we start getting into the AdWords they were using in their strategy, and we started to say, whoa, let's pull back here and spend less in AdWords. Only spend in your targeted area. Don't spend for things that you really have, a 5% chance of collecting a customer.
Makes perfect sense. Now you mentioned Goss RV. I mean, that's a case study that you've got on your website. So that must be one you're proud of.
Very proud of, and glad to see that they're doing extremely well in this economy right now. I mean, it's a perfect opportunity. They're doing some wonderful PR now. The fact that you can travel and safety. But the second piece of that case study, to your point, was by saving money in where they were spending their AdWords, we went back to email. So not only their existing clients, but other potential target markets, customers that were more likely to be in their target area, and started to use email and content, newsletters, to engage and get new customer base. So immediately in the first year, nearly 40% increase in sales by shifting marketing spending for them. So
wow.
Tremendous success, great people, happy to see them doing well.
Okay, now I can't let that one go. Sorry. Say that again. What was the increase in sales again? Because that sounded like magic to me.
Yeah, it was about 38%, so nearly
Wow.
40%, and year over year.
Wow.
And doing it with fewer leads. And that was really that shows the fact that they were getting a lot of leads that dropped out of the funnel. So they were paying for things that really were customers that were never going to get there. Early in my career, I had a case where we got a lot of leads through sweepstakes. Well, the problem was, you had to work through all those leads. Salespeople had to spend time, trying to qualify those leads, which really weren't qualified. Those were people who were just trying to get in an HGTV sweepstakes. And so you really have to be careful with where you spend. There's a time when you want to grow your awareness. But if you're really trying to grow your business, you got to be careful right now that you're not spending on things that are just going to create time and effort, but no results.
Yeah. I mean, because you can really clog up your business with too many leads. That's the point you're getting to, right?
Absolutely. And, depending on the size of business, you need to then look at how you segment those leads.
Yeah.
A couple of things we've worked with clients is, going into understanding when people are going to buy. If someone's looking to buy right now, obviously you want to hit that quickly, but do you even know that answer? So in various ways of creating your lead forms, you can find out if someone's would like to buy, but is 6 months out or a year out. And there's different ways to create marketing campaigns to keep them warm. We like to say, there's 3 answers to, do you want to buy? Yes, no, and not now. And it's how do you address the not now that makes businesses successful? Because if you just think yes and no, then you're going to drop a lot of clients. But getting those not nows, understanding them, keeping them warm, keeping them out of your salespeople's hands until they're ready to buy will make your business more effective, not only today, but 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and down the road.
Folks, we're here chatting with Trip Jobe, and Trip is the CEO of Rand Inc. And Trip, you mentioned your corporate background, so you're one of, I don't know, several 100,000 corporate refugees here in North Fulton, right? There's a lot of us around. Talk a little bit about your journey and I guess how that's maybe not just prepared you for where you are now, but maybe some of the lessons learned along the way.
Sure. My Atlanta journey started in Atlanta. I went to Emory, got my MBA at then just Emory Business School, later became Jobe Business School. It's been fun to see their growth. And then I started in international paper and sales. So my journey in marketing started by being a field sales rep, and spent some time on the West Coast and in New England, then started working in product management and got a chance with international paper to work on some small businesses as well as $100 million businesses. So everything from a $20 million business I ran to being involved in $600-700 million businesses. And then I came to Kimberly-Clark here in Atlanta, focusing on brand management, and eventually spent about a decade leading the marketing team at Neenah Paper. At KC, spun Neenah Paper off in 2004. So I got to envision starting a 130-year-old company all over again. When Neenah Paper spun off in 2004. So, got that experience, which is a tremendous opportunity to lead marketing and, get a new company going, smaller business than being in a big corporate environment like Kimberly-Clark. And then after a number of years there, I moved over to Oldcastle and led sales and marketing at Oldcastle in a different industry. So, I've seen sales, I've seen marketing, I've seen different industries. There's a lot of similarities. Everyone's got unique needs, but it all does come back to the customer and understanding what they need and then helping your clients drive growth.
Now, one thing that you mentioned here in the show notes that we've got is the idea of doing experiments. And, can I experiment around instead of, I guess, developing a marketing strategy? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm a big believer in experiments. I've always tried to keep a certain amount in the marketing budget over the years for my team members, myself, to try different things, because markets are always changing, right? But the one thing I would say to people is, how are you going to measure that experiment? And when are you going to measure it? And I think that's the key. You want, when you go into an experiment, maybe it's social media, maybe it's TikTok, to come back to it.
Right.
You want to have a plan of, when am I going to measure it? When am I going to understand the performance? Is this something I want to double down on? Or is this something I need to cut my losses? So I think experimentation, I love it when people are using 5 to 10% of their budget to do different things, to get new thoughts. I mean, my corporate experience is you're in a job for 8 or 10 years. You think things are always the same. It's great to have fresh new perspectives and let someone take an idea, social media, or, hey, let's go out and create a webinar series and see how it takes off. It's great to do that. Just make sure you're putting measurement in place to understand your success. Otherwise, we get a year down the road and go, well, did that help me or not?
Mm. Yeah, you really kind of wasted your time because you really don't know whether that was time well spent. So
exactly.
Right. So you mentioned TikTok. Let's school this old guy here on the latest and greatest social media. And I know, based on what you said, it all comes back to the customer. Where the customer's clients are, but what do you see that's new and in I guess the latest and greatest in social media?
Well, I think TikTok's the new thing. And again, I think it's, if you're in a fashion brand, clothes, cosmetics, your energy drink, things like that would make sense for TikTok. If you're more traditional businesses, I would say not. I mean, one of our, Fortune 500 type clients, we look at all their social media, and LinkedIn continues. It's the largest base, yet LinkedIn followers and engaged users continue to grow faster than Facebook, faster than Instagram. Everything, every social media they're using, LinkedIn continues to be number one for them. And again, you look at their audience. It's a very much of a B2B play. That's the place for them, and that's where they should continue to spend more money than in some of these other areas.
You mentioned B2B. Let's talk about that. So I'm a B2B brand. What should my marketing approach be, or do I need marketing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that, again, it's part of the relationship. It's part of understanding your clients. Sometimes it may be very content oriented. So a lot of B2B, we will talk about what can you do from a content perspective. We're actually working right now with a couple of industry associations to develop some webinar content for them about marketing, to help them think about maybe how to use content to become the thought leader. I mean, if you're in B2B, one of the areas to win is be the thought leader. Either, if you don't have an established brand, you want, your clients, the people who specify your product, to think that Rand Inc., really knows marketing. And that's who I'm going to reach out to if I need more help in understanding marketing, for instance.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned LinkedIn. That's obviously huge in B2B marketing. How does LinkedIn fit in for you and your B2B clients? I mean, you mentioned the growth, but what are you doing specifically there?
We personally started a series. It's now in its 6th week, called Tuesdays and Thursdays with Trip. And it's short 2 to 3 minute videos on LinkedIn. And the reason we did it was in the middle of coronavirus, and a lot of people were just stopping spending. And look, we have never been through COVID before, but we've been through, and Darren and I both have been through, challenges in markets from the .com, bubble and burst after 9/11 through the 2008, 2009 recession. I've been through some things in my early days at International Paper. and there are similarities. So what the whole series was about sharing similar times of economic upset, and from how you market, from sales, from relationships, and just try to give people ideas. All we were trying to do is get people to think that you can do something. Think about your strategy, and hopefully, a few of the ideas would resonate with people. And we're continuing to do it. We'll do it for a number of months until we get feedback that it's time to move on to something else. But it's all about just giving back and trying to give people some ideas and not have them paralyzed with fear, because this is a COVID environment and there's never been anything like it.
Trip, this has been great. And I would love to keep talking, but I want to make sure that we ask an important question, which is tell people the kind of clients that you work with, who are good fits for you.
Thanks, John. We will work with most any business as long as you're engaged in marketing. We have some small franchise businesses that we're working with right now, up to, as I said, one Fortune 500 client. But the core, I would say, are businesses that are $1 million plus in revenue, up to probably $500 million in revenue, and are trying to understand the effectiveness of their marketing. We start out with an assessment. We'll do a free phone call, talk about what you're doing, give you an assessment, an idea, some things to think about. And then if you want to move forward, we can look at what your business needs, from strategy assessment to measurement, analytics, and even scenario planning and projections. But, about the only area of business that we don't tap into are probably pharmaceuticals and very highly regulated areas. That's one area that marketers should really understand the regulations of dealing with the FDA. And I've done some of that. That's just not an area for us. But any other B2B, B2C businesses in that range, we're happy to work with.
Awesome. Trip Jobe, he's the CEO of Rand Inc. Trip, this has been great. Thanks so much for being with us. But before we let you go, we got to make sure that you give folks your contact information, how they can connect with you.
Thanks, John. First thing is our website, randinc.cc, not .com. And then you can email me directly at tjobe, that's TJOBE, at randinc.cc. Or my business line is 678-373-0211. Again, we love to talk about marketing. We love to talk about business and how we build the two together. So please reach out to us. We'll be happy to help and just have an initial phone call.
Great. Trip Jobe, thanks so much for being with us.
John, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Folks, just a quick reminder that if you've got some problems that involve administrative tasks or bookkeeping, maybe you need a workshop planned or a presentation prepared. Well, I've got a good answer for you, and that involves giving Essie Escobedo a call over at Office Angels. She's got a team of angels that she can send in. They fly in and fly out, but in the meantime, they get the job done. And they've been virtual for 18 years. So this current environment they're in, they know how to work in it. So give Essie a call. OfficeAngels.us is the website, but you can also call her directly at 770-442-9246. Tell her I told you to call her, and I told you to call her with a personal testimonial because I use them, folks. So they're awesome. So you'll enjoy working with Essie and her team. Just a reminder that you can find our shows on all the major podcast platforms. If you go search for North Fulton Business Radio, you'll find us on Apple, Google, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify. Who knows? Our network may be on TikTok sometime soon. It shows you how much I know about TikTok. But anyway, no, we're on all the major podcast apps. We're also online at northfultonbusinessradio.com. We've got an archive there of going on 250 shows with great business leaders like Trip. So we would love it if you would go on your favorite app, give us a great review, and help others find the business leaders like Trip that we've had over these past 4 years. You'll be doing us a favor, but you'll be doing them a favor. That's for sure. And speaking of social media, we're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, North Fulton BRX. I may have to talk to Trip about which one of those we need to worry about, but we'll get back to that. So for my guest, Trip Jobe, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.